I'm pumped by the aspect of learning. I love learning. So I believe travel is a great teacher. So I call it as hashtag travel learning. That's something that I'm quite passionate about. So I advise, I advocate, I go to an extent to push students to probably go out of their comfort zones and see people and interact with people. To me, every conversation that I had, I believe that I learned something from it.
Kerrie Fitz here with Connect with Confidence podcast, and I am loving the conversations that I'm having with people from right around the world. And I'm really excited to be introducing Dr. Ram, who I connected with in 2017, and we've stayed in touch. We met again this year, March 2020, in Coimbatore for a quick cup of coffee. And that was when COVID-19 was beginning to make an impact in India. So, Dr. Ram, I'm really delighted that you're here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Thank you, Kerrie. Thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor to be part of your podcast. Let's begin the conversation. Where do you want to start?
Because we always have such a great conversation, and I knew that we could talk about so many different things. And through Connect with Confidence, we want to have conversations with people from different places, different backgrounds, different levels of experience. And I've noticed for myself that sometimes I haven't had conversations with people who are superstars in the academic world, which is what I would say of you, because I could be intimidated and just not knowing your world. And I think that's something that holds back a lot of people, whether it's academia or whether it's business or people who are professional in some way. We would love to learn from them, but we don't want to ask questions in case we look like we don't know what we're talking about. So here am I, Dr. Ram. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the academic world, but you've had this extraordinary journey, and now you're director of this college in Coimbatore, where you've been for something like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes. I even met one of your students in Queensland, one of your students from 20 years ago, which was amazing. That's what happens when you talk to strangers. But do you want to just give us a quick overview of the work you're doing now? And then I'd love to hear about your younger years and how you began this journey.
Okay. As a normal Indian household boy, I was a bit more onto sports, guitar, and not that great in academics. Okay. That's my school. Okay. And I think somewhere down the 8th grade, I was busy playing cricket for my school and table tennis to the state level. I was almost competing between districts and states, playing guitar, and I was having a fun time. My dad collapsed one day, and he was taken to the hospital. This was on 31st January, and everyone said it is very difficult for him to come back. So 2nd of February is my birthday. So birthdays in our house is like, say, beautiful. I mean, like, that's something that you wait for. It is like Christmas to us, brother.
Yeah.
Because you will have everything that comes through, not through a Santa Claus, but through your dad and mom, who gives you everything on your birthday. 31st January, my dad gets into coma, hospitalized in ICU, and I'm playing cricket, coming back home on a Sunday afternoon for a lunch, where lunch is not there, whereas my father is getting into the ambulance and being taken to the hospital. And the next 3 days, I didn't hear from my mom. Because this was like those days we didn't have mobile phones. Rather, there were relatives who would come up and say, like, he's still in the ICU. You can't, because I'm a small boy, 8th standard. So I had no clues. I had to be with my sister and brother in a big house, in a very big house, and we were all alone. Rather. And if I remember right, on the 1st of February, on the evening, one of the friends of my dad, one of very close friends of my dad, took me to his house and said, tomorrow morning we are going to meet your dad. So I'm excited. First time on my birthday, normally we go to temples, we cut cake, a lot of things happen. I go into a hospital and my dad is in an ICU And I've been taken there into the ICU. I was not even sure what exactly was happening with it. And no, I was too small then. I mean, like we didn't have the kind of exposure what this generation has got that point of time. There was no television, there was no mobile phones. It is only conversations that you might have with your friends. That's how it was. And I remember when I walked into the room, and my mom said, "Here's your son. Today is his birthday." And he was trying to open his eyes, but he was in coma. He was not able to. And he was trying to touch me. I couldn't cry. I was like freezed. My mom said, "Happy birthday. Next year we will celebrate the birthday better. Once dad comes home, we'll celebrate the birthday better. Don't worry about it." We were just allowed for like 10 minutes, and I came out and stayed with my mom for like half an hour. Then I was sent home. Today, when I look back, that moment shaped my life completely. That incident of like what I saw my dad in the ICU exactly happened. And I think I used to cry under the shower because I'm not seen or known to cry anywhere. And I had only one prayer. I wanted to probably do something in life and take the responsibility of the house much earlier than I could. And I was like, I left cricket, table tennis, everything. Yes, I played well later. That's a different story altogether. I focused on studies. Academics was something that was, it was not academics. I wanted to probably do something to my family. For that reason, I ended up probably just have one prayer. Can I can I get into profession at the earliest? Two, can I share the responsibilities of the family? Three, God, allow my dad to live for the next 25 years. That's all was my prayer. And due course of time, I started liking the subjects that probably was taught. And I tried to probably learn things much better and brighter. And one interesting aspect was I belong to a family of seven generation of teachers. Seven generation of teachers. My grandfather was a chief education officer in Burma. I mean, a lot of either they were into medical or seven generation of teachers. Chief probably into academics. I decided when I finished my 10th grade, I will choose any other career than academics, is what I probably thought of. I will not choose academics, is what I thought of. And when I completed my graduation, I decided that academics is my career and started focusing more on presentation skills and probably researching and things like that. And ended up probably in academics. And the funny fact is, my dad lived for only 25 years from there on. What I mean here is that how powerful your thoughts, words, because I strongly believe your thoughts, your words decide your thoughts decide your action, and your action decides your behavior. And today I regret. I should worship for 30 years, I should worship for 35 years rather. 25th year, my dad passed away. Wow. This is how my academic, me getting into academics happened.
Wow. It's amazing how, gosh, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Ram. It's a heartbreaking and an interesting story. You know, the way that we see things as a child and make decisions. And, you know, you've been so dedicated to so many people. And I guess it explains to me the compassion that I've seen in you and the fervor that you bring to your work with so many students, because I guess, you know, they all have a family story, and you saw from an early age that education was key.
Yeah, I have to add this to that. When I got selected in this institution, I remember I was like hardly 21, 22, and I decided to probably go up to my dad and tell him I've got into academics. Now, let's say I don't know about the Australian lifestyle, but when it comes to India, teenage boys are close to mom than to dads. Okay, so our conversations are not great because it's about it's like a policing that happens, brother. So we would look at dads as a villain, brother. That's how it turns out to be at that particular age. I mean, like when you're a small kid, your dad is your hero, but when you turn out to be a teenager, you think like you can do better and you know everything, whereas your dad interferes. That's how you think, brother. So I think I'm now getting into professional life, and I've got into academics. I've got my opportunity into academics. I went back and told my mom, you know what? I've got this job in career, but I'm a bit confused. How exactly do I approach? For which my mom said, hey, come on, you belong to a generation of teachers. Your dad shapes a lot of people in their careers. Now, when he comes home, speak to him. So I said, yes, okay. When he came home from office, my mom created a setting, made sure that whatever he liked, my mom made that for him, and that set up the scene and called me to the room and said, can you share the news to him? So I said that I've got selected into academics. So for which he said, oh, is it? Okay, good. It's a very interesting job. Make sure that you do well. I said, okay. Then the room was calm. Then my mother said, hey, you want to ask him something, no? So he looked at me, looked at my mother. He understood there is a theatrics that is going on here and said, what do you want? So I said, I have no clues on how to teach. Even though I've done presentations at various forums and classrooms with my fellow colleagues as students. Now, all of a sudden, to a stranger, you go to a classroom and teach. I mean, at least the first class is going to be a stranger. Then you will know the students as such. So I was like nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking to me. So I said, like, say, how do I teach? My dad's response: teaching cannot be taught. Teaching cannot be taught. So I asked, oh, is it? So I was like a bit taken aback because there is no answers. I was looking for a solution. There is no solution to them. So my mom got furious. Furious in the sense like her son is not having the answers. So she said, you will teach everybody in the world. Whereas when it comes to your son, you will not help. So my dad said, no, I mean it. Teaching cannot be taught.
Yeah.
So I was like clueless. I was like from fire pan to fire. I had no idea how to move further. Then he said, okay, now take this from me. And he said this: think of the best teachers of your life.
Yes.
Write it down. Think of the worst teachers of your life. Write it down.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have a favorite teacher, or you might not have a teacher whom you hate. But if you look back and reflect your class might have some favorite teachers. Your class might have some not so favorite teachers. Identify what is that one thing that the teacher who was liked by everybody had. Identify one thing that the teacher they love to hate had with them. Jot it down. Make sure you have those qualities which the students liked on a teacher, and make sure you don't have the qualities the students who hated the teacher.
Yeah.
That was the tool for me for my life till date.
Wow.
Till date.
So tell us about some of those qualities that you reflected on that you've been building into your life.
Yeah. Well, I will take you to another story. Now, coming into college as a professional, from college to college, I mean, from a different college as a student, now to a different college as a faculty. Yeah. That role switch was nerve-wracking. Now, this institution had brought somebody from Mumbai to have a workshop. And this guy was from Bajaj Institute, if I'm right, which is a premier institute in Mumbai. And this guy came up and said, we are trying to probably have an ideation session on what we can do to turn around education in this campus. He asked, come up with your thoughts. So I, being tall and lanky, sitting in one corner, this guy thought, like, this guy is too young. We will have him, because in workshops you have some of these trainers who've got this approach to get some people who would speak rather. So he got me rather. So I looked up and said, okay, he's asked me, I need to answer. I thought, can we have guest lectures?
Uh-huh.
That point of time, the college was different. It was not the same. So one of the faculty said, hey, come on, I'm talking about, like, say, that point of time, students are not listening to us. Why do you get guest lecturers and disgrace them? Let's not do that. Oh, wow. True. Getting the attention of the students to listen to you in the classroom is difficult. Now, when we have not got that discipline in place, why do you bring somebody external to come up and go through the same journey what you are going through? Okay, what they said was right. So this guy said, let's not criticize. Let's probably take the point. He said guest lectures. So he wrote it down as guest lectures. Number 2. Then somebody said something, they said about better pay package and things like that. He said, no, let us look at ideas which is beyond money.
Yeah.
Let's talk about money later. So nobody in the room was speaking. So he thought he will come back to me and he said, gentlemen, you have some more thoughts running in your head. Can you please share it? So I said, okay, can we have some cultures? Can we have some cultures in campus? Because that will give the vibe. So, no, culture is not possible, somebody said. Because you need lot more money, infrastructure and all those things. Yes, okay, fine. Yeah, go ahead.
So can you tell me what you mean by cultures? Probably means a lot to different people.
Cultural, college competitions. College competitions.
Oh, competitions.
Cultures to me is, a lot of dance, singing, band, everything will probably happen in the campus. Can we have that? Then I think I didn't stop there because that was shut down. They said like, no, that's not working. So I said, can we have a sports team, rather? Like a cricket team, rather. No, we don't have players. Somebody in the group said, we don't have players. Holy shit. how exactly you probably get going with one idea? Because 3 of my ideas were shot down. So I'm like thinking, what is the next idea that I can think through? And I thought, can we have industrial visits? Can we have industrial visits where students go to industries and probably manufacturing space and look at that and probably come back and reflect on it? No. If they don't behave well in the industrial visits, what happens? Holy, okay. One last time I will try, and after that I will not try. I will not say anything. So I said, can we have a dress code where students will wear blazers and everything and come to college? That will probably give them a lot more energy and whatever. They said, it's not a school. Here, be happy that they come in decent dress. You can't have a common uniform code. Okay, this happened 25 years back. Forget about that, 25 years back. Now, coming back to 2020, that guest lecture, today is face-to-face interactions, CEO word series. Now with pandemic, we have got webinars where people from different countries with different cultural backgrounds, with people like Kerrie comes down to Coimbatore and speaks. It is not just trained speakers who speak. We have had the privilege of hosting the President of India in the face-to-face program. It's called he's Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the one president India will always remember and love. He had been to a face-to-face. The first Indian cricket captain who won the World Cup for India and made cricket happen in India, 1983, Kapil Dev had been here in campus. The first Miss Universe of the world, making the world accept Indian beauty, Sushmita Sen, had been to the campus for face-to-face. First women IPS officer, Dr. Kiran Bedi, had been in campus. We've got diplomats, we've got politicians from different walks of life, different political parties had been here on that particular forum. So guest lectures today happens to be face-to-face.
Just to clarify for our listeners, face-to-face is the name of your event, which was, the on the platform, in the room, and people who know my website or my LinkedIn profile, there's that photo of this massive, amazing Indian audience, which was a face-to-face event. But you've been running the face-to-face events with that name in part of your online series since the pandemic also.
In fact, face-to-face we brought in that particular name is purely for one reason. I'm taking you back 20 odd years before. Indian classrooms will be monologues. It will be like the teachers will be teaching and the students will not be reflecting. Rather, they'll be just be silent listeners. In India, at that point of time, learning means listening. That's how Indian academia was working. So I thought, I used to teach at England in one of the universities. So one day I was reflecting like, hey, how on earth this class is different from Indian classrooms. So I was trying to do a comparative study, and what I figured out was Indian students are very intelligent.
Very intelligent.
Intelligent, but they come from the same space, same region, same
Yes.
state, or maybe a couple of states as such. But when it comes to the international students in England, you will have not less than 15, 16 countries in a classroom.
Wow.
But the intelligence factor, Indian classrooms had much better intelligence factor, and their grasping power was very impressive in Indian classrooms. But whereas in the international classrooms, they had no fear to ask. They had no fear to question.
Mm-hmm.
Indian classrooms avoided questions.
They avoid asking questions.
Students would not ask questions at all.
Yeah.
It will be the faculty who will probably ask questions. That's how it was.
Yeah.
So I thought like maybe asking questions is a fundamental tool which we can empower to all the youngsters.
Yes.
And how can I make it? So we tried in the classroom. It didn't work the way in which I wanted it to. So I said, okay, these students will learn much better if it's going to be a different atmosphere altogether. So we will create a platform called face-to-face. You are meeting somebody who's accomplished and come up there and ask what you want. This speaker who comes on face-to-face, most of them would not speak for long. They will be speaking less and there'll be a lot more questions that will come up. Today's day and age, we have finished 200 face-to-faces.
Wow.
And all face-to-face had not less than 3,000 people as audience. And most interestingly, with the pandemic coming through, face-to-face turns out to be like liquid gold. People are waiting to probably come face-to-face. Forget about the program.
Yeah.
Coming face-to-face is something that people are waiting for, longing for. That's how face-to-face came into existence. Today we've done 200 odd face-to-faces over the past 20 years.
And it's an incredible experience. I remember being told, like, you know, there'd be 400 or 500 students there, and there was like, 2,000 packed in the room. You had like over 3,200 on live stream, and it was.
And you've experienced it, and you've experienced the entire. For a speaker, it's not an easy probably audience, because you'll have like 3,000 odd people, and you standing in one particular space and connecting to everybody, and you did that very well. And we have evidences on that where people are still getting connected to you over a period of time purely because of that one occasion on which you came up and spoke. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And they did ask lots of questions afterwards, and have continued to do so online also. One thing that blew me away as a speaker coming into that environment was, you know, when you sent somebody in a car to pick us up, and then I was given this beautiful card, a beautiful printed card with my photo on it, with your branding, with face-to-face written on it, and such a beautiful welcome card. And there were so many different elements of the day that your students had all been involved in. It wasn't just you saying, here's this guest speaker coming in. The students were really hosting the day, weren't they? You empowered them
True.
in every aspect of the event and making it like a far more extraordinary event than I expected.
That is the learning that students go through. It is not just attending the program, listening to the speaker, but probably just doing it on their own and trying to improvise it and making it perfect and deliver it there is something that they learn over a period of time. And with every program, they only improve, because this 200 is not my number, my score rather. It is just because of the students, this 200 face-to-face happened. Maybe I would have been the architect to probably create that forum rather. But because of the enthusiasm, energy, and involvement the students have shown over a period of time, this is like one of the most sought after programs in campus.
Yeah.
And I should say, today we are talking about webinars, right? 2020 2020, we are talking about webinars because we have been forced to probably do webinars. But interestingly, what happened was way back in 2012, 29th of February, it is a leap year, we leaped out to a different space. We did a online streamed telecasted program, I mean like live program, with Sunita Williams, the astronaut.
Wow.
She was sitting in Russia, and we had streamed it live from Russia to the same auditorium where you came up and spoke, 4,000 odd people, and it was streamed with 100 odd different US consulates all across the globe, because I was doing it in partnership with the US consulate, the Department of Culture, where we brought that face to face and made Sunita Williams to come up and address the gathering and take questions. So what I was trying to probably say here is 2020, everybody is talking about webinars, whereas in 2012, we pulled out something from Moscow. That point of time, the bandwidth was not the way in which it is today. The video clarity was not the way in which it is today. We had to take it from the landline connections and do the connections and do that with it. We never knew what we don't have, so that strength made us to do what we did.
That's amazing. Yeah, when you want to connect with somebody across the world, you just make it happen, don't you, one way or another? Yeah. So you mentioned working in England, and I know that you have also worked in the US and studied and just had amazing connections with people everywhere. And I know the last webinar that we did together, you had guests in Canada and US and UK and right across India. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on connecting. You know, we talk about connecting with confidence and leaving behind that sense of inadequacy and intimidation. Like, has that been part of your journey? Have you, just tell us about how you've been able to reach out and connect with people that might have felt like a world away at some stage?
To be honest, I've not done it consciously. It is not a strategy that I followed. I'm pumped by the aspect of learning.
Yes.
I love learning. So I believe travel is a great teacher. So I call it as #travel learning. Travel learning. That's something that I'm quite passionate about. So I advise, I advocate, I probably go to an extent to even push students to probably go out of their comfort zones and see people and interact with people. To me, every conversation that I had, I believe that I learned something from it. So talking to people is something that I'm fond of. Talking to strangers, that very concept came into my life after seeing your work, rather. But I was unconsciously talking to strangers. When you go in a flight, you end up probably talking to them, rather. In fact, in my blog, Branding Marketing Do, which is an app both available on Android and with iOS, I've written something about the Emirates, the brand Emirates, sorry.
Yeah,
brand
the airline.
Airlines, where I happened to chat with a lady there on the who's an air hostess, because they were busy shopping from their own in-flight magazine.
Okay.
Air hostess were shopping from the in-flight magazines. So I was chatting with her, and she never knew that I would blog about it, I will talk about it.
Yeah.
But today, that's a case study for me. That conversation is a case study for me on internal branding. How companies should treat their employees. Every company is trying to, every corporate, every brand is trying to reach out to the consumers, but they don't probably look at the employees very well, rather. This brand of the Emirates Airlines had taken care of their employees so very well. When I asked her the question, I think the question I asked her was, which airline do you think is the best airlines in the world? She said Emirates. So I thought, like in a naughty way, maybe she's not flown in any other airlines. So I asked her, like, what are the other airlines you have traveled? And she said maybe 6 or 7 airlines. Okay. And she said, I would rather still consider Emirates as the best, purely because you have the value for money. And I also asked her, like, okay, now you're an air hostess. She's from Greece. Okay, she's Miss Greece over the world. I asked her, like, down the line, how long you think you will be an air hostess? She said, I've got 10 other careers in play, but I'll be doing something with Emirates. 10 other careers, which includes photography, fitness trainer, communication trainer, front office manager. She was like going on. And she said, I will still love to work with Emirates because they take care of us so very well. And we don't have any bills. And I mean, like, without the cameras on, in a small little place when the conversation happens, the two things that were stunning was A, whatever she was earning, a part of the money she's spending on the airlines by buying products from the airlines.
Yeah.
We don't earn money and spend on the same organization. We'll go spend it elsewhere. Whereas these people were spending it on the organization. And number two, like, she's speaking very high about the organization without even knowing. It was just a conversation, brother. I came back and wrote an article, a blog, and today I teach with every other class wherever I speak to. I end up speaking about this case study. These conversations, whatever I've had with strangers, had turned into case studies to me. And it has turned out to be some lovely stories which I can go back and fall back on whenever I want to probably get inspired. That's how the conversations have been. And
Yeah.
you've specialized and mastered and teach people to probably go out of their mobiles and maybe make people to talk to strangers. That's something that you've been doing phenomenally well.
Yeah, well, in the asking model, we talk about interest in others, and it is that curiosity that if you're keen to learn, you don't have to worry about what you're going to say. And sometimes it's not about having an eloquent question, but it might be something as simple as, can you tell me more about that? And, you have that curiosity and that keenness to learn that is, being a lifelong learner. And it makes connecting with people around the world absolutely beautiful. So thank you. I've taken up so much of your time. I know it's a very hectic day there today at GRD College. I'll put links in the show notes to your Brand Think Marketing Do and any other links that you want to share. But I didn't really capture at the beginning. What's your actual title there at the college? And give us your bio in 30 seconds or less.
Okay, that's 30 seconds.
Okay, 60 seconds. I know it's long.
30 seconds is fine, brother. By profession, I'm an academician. By occasion, I'm a learner. I plan for the intake of the students. I plan the curriculum. I manage the faculty. And I teach some of the classrooms also. And I work heavily towards the engagement quotient for the students beyond the classrooms. Not just in the classrooms, beyond the classrooms.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe the universe responds to your frequency. The universe responds to your frequency. It doesn't recognize your personal desires, wants, or needs. It only understands the frequency in which you are vibrating at. For example, if you're vibrating in the frequency of fear, anger, guilt, you are going to attract things of similar vibration to support that frequency. If you are vibrating the frequency of love, joy, happiness, abundance, you are going to attract things to support that frequency. It is like tuning into a radio station. You have to be tuned into a radio station you want to listen to, just like you have to be tuned into the energy you want to manifest in your life. This is something that I practice, and I get connected to these kinds of people in life.
Yes.
The recent webinar I had with you, I have it on my chat. I can probably share that with you. There is a lady from Canada who joined that particular program. And after the program, she sent one message. I'm happy to see happy souls like Kerrie Piffs, where I want to follow her, get connected to her, and buy the books. And today, I think you are doing what you're doing is purely because you tune into the energy that you want to spread. That's how the world is vibrating to you today, brothers. Great going.
Wow, thank you. And yeah, it is beautiful to see how when we shift our intention from being nervous, from being intimidated, to being curious about others, to caring about others. And I think for me, it was about knowing what it's like to feel isolated, to feel inadequate, or to feel inferior in a room. I look for the people who might feel a little bit on the outside because I want them to feel welcome. I want people to feel like that they matter. And, you know, so many people have encouraged me throughout my life. And really, all the things that I'm doing, the opportunities that I get, it's because other people have believed in me more than I've believed in myself. So if I can give that gift of encouragement to others, even if it's just a smile passing by, but just to lift people's spirits, it just keeps growing, doesn't it? The impact keeps growing. And yeah, I'm thrilled to connect with you, whether it's online like this. I know it'll be in Coimbatore again at some stage, and we will continue the conversations and inspire people to connect with confidence and authenticity, and underlining that with curiosity. So I love hearing your story about how you've been on this learning journey, and thank you so much for sharing your dad's story and honouring him and the way that he answered you without answering you, didn't give you a simple answer, but that got you to go away.
That insight that he gave makes me to still search, am I doing the right thing? Is it right to probably do it that way? And in fact, with pandemic around, the world has changed completely. And
Yeah.
today, happiness is the new rich. Happiness is the new rich.
Yeah.
Inner peace is the new success. Health is the new wealth.
Yeah.
That's the world that we are traveling through, Radha. And very happy to get connected to you, and I will stay connected with you always. Now, till the pandemic goes over, we will continue our conversations online, and after that, we would love to host you here back in India.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I feel like I've got more questions coming about how you're connecting with people online, but people can see that. And I just was reminded before you actually joined the call this afternoon that Teachers' Day, I love seeing all the tweets and all the acknowledgement on Teachers' Day, which is in India, the 5th of September. The way your students acknowledge you is absolutely beautiful. And so I know that you have been living those traits that you explored in the teachers that you appreciated as a young person. And it's you just all express yourselves so well in gratitude and acknowledging each other. So
you said right now about my students acknowledging me online. Well, yes, it is not just the Teachers' Day. All through my life, they have been the inspiration in whatever I'm doing. In fact, I don't have a fancy limousine or millions in the bank, but I'm wealthy beyond calculation. I have a family of students, a battalion of noble souls whom I love so much in campus and across the world. They are the gift God gave me and the gift I give the world. Each one of them make my heart smile.
that's so beautiful.
Thank you.